Let's go.
This is turning into one of the weirdest shows I've ever done. It really is.
Catch me if you can, goddammit. Catch me if you can. You hear me?
Will Noonan's so funny and I'm after him, so I guess I'm after Noonan.
You're listening to Hypothetically with Will Noonan.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. Thank you for listening to Hypothetically with Will Noonan. That's me coming at you right now from I-93 North. I'm heading up to Manchester, New Hampshire to do yet another show in Manchester, Vegas, Amsterdam. I feel like it's the first city in America where I may be overexposed. I've done way too many shows in Manchester, New Hampshire in the past year. More so than probably Boston, definitely more so than any other city. So I think there's probably not too many people in Manchester who don't know every single fucking joke I've ever done. But you know what? I'm still going. I'm still doing it. I don't give a fuck. I love being a comedian, you know? Sometimes the podcast can be a little fucking gripe-ish, a little complainy. People always come up to me at shows and say different things about the podcast, and it's always funny how they view my life. It's always in comparison to their own. So if they have a lot of money and they got all their shit together, they almost pity me. But you know, if they're even more of a mess than me, sometimes they look up to me. But it's always funny the things people say, and lately I've been getting a lot of like, oh, you've been really cranky on the podcast lately, man. You seem great now, but man, on the podcast you've been really cranky. And part of it thinks I know that those are very popular episodes and people like that a lot when I do that. Another part of it is just, you know, it's a busy time of year, so I've been griping. But I don't want anyone to think that's what it's all about. You know what I'm saying, guys? I'm fucking so lucky to be a stand-up comic, an actor. You know, sometimes it's a pain in the ass, and sometimes there's things that can be a bummer, but I'm still not punching a clock. I was just thinking the other day, I had a video shoot, much more on that later. But I was shooting this thing, and I could not wait for the day to be over, and it was about a fucking 7 or 8 or 9 hour day, like a little longer than a school day. And I was thinking how I could just not wait to be out of there and like free again and in charge of my own comings and goings. And that's like such a funny thing because I have so much more of that than probably most men in America. No, I only work I still probably work 4 or 5 days a week, but it's fun work and it's quick work most of the time when I'm not shooting something. And even when I'm shooting something, it's 1 or 2 days and I never have to see those people again. I don't have to deal with the politics of working in an office or the fucking boredom of going to the same place every day. Every day I'm in a different place. So I try and remind myself that that's really good shit, and I should be grateful for it when I'm fucking whining and complaining on this podcast. At the same time, I gotta say, this wouldn't be much of a podcast if I just came on here every week and told you how, my life was all fucking pre-rolled joints and roses, because it ain't. You know, it's the life of a comedian. Highs and patheticallys. We got highs and lows in this world. But I think lately, with the help of just the shit I do with running and meditating, man, I've been dealing with shit a lot better. Not letting the sort of stress of being a comedian get to me. And it's funny, like I just said, it's not even really that stressful. When it comes to actually getting on stage and performing, I love every second of it, and I can't wait for like that to happen. But there's so much more goes into being a comedian when you gotta get to these fucking gigs, and that's starting to wear on me a little bit. Just driving to these fucking New England towns over and over and over. But still, small complaint. I'm always happy when I'm there. There's bummers in being a comic. You you get in ruts. And I think I had this weird thing where in January, just a couple months back, I hit my 10-year anniversary in comedy, and I think I had a little bit of like postpartum depression or something after that happened in a weird way, because I was very happy. I wanted to reach that milestone, but I think somewhere deep down I was sad there wasn't some fucking like huge shift or change in how I felt about comedy towards the positive. If anything, I started to feel almost right around the 10-year mark, I started to feel a little bit of a grind, not with writing the jokes and performing or anything like that, but just started to feel like Groundhog Day. I was telling another guy, like, every gig started to feel the same, and I realized that's just kind of like another part of being a comic. I remember when I was a teenager and a college kid, I really could not wait to grow up and be a man and like an artist, you know, and I really like idolized tortured artists like James Dean and Marlon Brando, and I was like, man, I'm gonna be just like that, and I really can't wait for all the dues I'm gonna pay. I really was kind of like eating bad shows up with a spoon and all that shit, and I think what ended up happening at 10 years wasn't like some great shift in talent or anything. It was more like, now I'm just not even over. I'm over this like fucking bad gig thing and this fucking shitty booker who doesn't pay well enough thing. Like, you just start taking yourself a little more like seriously, I guess. I don't know if seriously is the fucking word, but you're like, all right, I'm worth a certain amount of money. I've been doing this 10 years. Like, I can start saying no to some shit and waiting and asking for more money and stuff. And that kind of plays into like what's been going on in my life lately, because if you listen to the podcast a few weeks back, I had, a few weeks back, I had an episode called Worst Commercial Shoot Ever. It was a very popular episode. I've been hearing about it a lot from people the next couple weeks or whatever, past couple weeks. And it was basically, I did this terrible fucking commercial with, where I had this like painful like mascot type costume I had to wear that was super heavy and all the wrong places, and it was a 12-hour day that should have been like 7, and was the worst experience I've ever had, top to bottom. All the way from the audition really was kind of creepy and horrible. So beginning with the audition and then all the way through getting fitted for the costume, having people bold-faced lie right to my face about what's in the costume and like how much it weighs, from getting to the set way earlier than I needed to be, and sort of questioned as why I was there. I was like, this was the time on the call sheet, and it was disorganized and terrible, all the way past even when it was over, when it took them 2 months to figure out how to pay me because they just fucked up the paperwork, and it was just a total unprofessional disgrace from start to finish. And they fucking screwed me out of like $150 because I had to do all these costume fittings that they added on, but it's not in the contract, so they didn't pay it. And that was like a word of mouth good faith agreement, and I should not, at that point I didn't know I should not have faith in these people, but whatever. I just never want to see any of them again, and I made a big fucking deal on the podcast about how I'm never going to work with them again, I'm never going to work with that production company again, and I'm never going to work with that director again, because although he wasn't like a terrible person or some kind of like fucking complete asshole, he's just not the type of guy I like working with. And he's I think he's a good director in the sense of like he does good work in the editing studio and cuts things together well, because I've watched his reel and it's pretty good, but his fucking on-set behavior is atrocious. And he's a total buffoon. And so I was like, I'm never gonna work with him again, and I never want to work with never want to work with the production company again, right? So I go tell everyone who's hooking me up with jobs that, and they're probably like, yeah, good for you being choosy, you fuck. But I don't give a fuck. It was that bad, right? So I did have one acting job after that with great people that I love and I work with all the time. And then I get this call like a week or two ago, and these people are like, "Hey, we're shooting this pitch video. It's not even an actual commercial. It's just like a pitch for a commercial we might make one day. And only like 5 or 6 people are ever going to see it, but it pays the same as like a regular commercial. You feel like doing it. We worked with you years ago on this other ad campaign, and we really liked you, and we want to have you back." And I'm like, absolutely. Sounds great. I'm in. Thank you. Next email I get from them is like, "Awesome, that's great news. By the way, the director says he knows you. He says he just worked with you on a commercial where you wore this big costume and stuff." And I'm like, wouldn't you fucking know it? I swear up and down I ain't working with this guy ever again. And I swear up and down I'm never working with that production company again. So I have to email her back, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm sorry. This is only it's a line in the sand I only drew about 2 months ago, but that experience was the worst ever in my life doing acting work, which is fucking amazing because it gets pretty bad." And I was like, I just swore I'd never work with that production company again, and I just gotta stick to that. I'm sorry. And she was like, "Hey, it's not the same production company. We have like these people we work with all the time who have a different name and all that stuff. They might have found this guy, and he might work with them, but it's not that production company." So I'm like, okay. And then I'm like looking at the money, and I'm like, the guy who's the director who I can't stand wasn't like the main problem that day. Like, I think he was a big part of it, and I think he was one of the many people who lied straight to my face. But, for the money, I was like, I could spend another day with this guy for like decent money. If it's not that production company, because they had all the problems with paying me, and at this point I still hadn't even been paid by them, and I was just like, they're just a fucking headache, and I don't want to take my talents to their South Beach. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm like, I'll work with this guy, whatever. But to be honest, I can't fucking stand him. And she's like, "I can assure you, Will, I am ultra like quick, and I like to work quick, and I'll be on this director, and I'll make sure he works fast, and I'll make sure the day goes by right, and you're not fucked with." And I'm like, okay, sounds good. But to be honest, I was like, fuck. I was hoping to never see this dude again in my life, and that's just my luck that there's like one job later I'm working with him again. So let's fast forward to like this guy. I mean, you have to kind of go back and listen to the past episode, but the main deal with this guy is he loves the fucking sound of his own voice, and he loves to sort of direct in a very showy way. I was describing it to another actor as like, he almost acts, he directs like a guy, like an actor acting like a director. Like if you just took an actor out of an acting class and was like, "Hey, we need you to play a film director in this sketch. Dress like one, act like one." That's the kind of guy he is. He loves to kind of do I've got this crazy idea right now. Let's try it, because I'm just a madman, and I'm a fucking creative genius, And everyone's eyes are rolling, because from the fucking lighting guys and the camera guys to actors to everyone in between, everyone knows none of this is fucking getting used. Everyone knows it's nowhere near as funny as he thinks it is, and all this shit. So like, these might not sound like big problems, but they end up making a day of work twice as long. When a guy's indecisive, when a guy is forgetting things a lot, that's another thing he did a lot, was like forget to shoot something. So then they, it's kind of hard to explain, but you get scenes in the script, and you shoot them one by one. And if you forget something from a scene, or you wanted something and you didn't get it, and you want to do it again later, it's very difficult to like set up the room again with all the cameras and all the lights and everything as it was, because they moved all that shit to do the next shot. So it's not like there's cameras and lights set up in every room and you just move from room to room. It's like they move the shit, everything gets broken down and put up. So when a guy forgets something and goes, oh, we got to go back and do that again, it's like an hour till you're rolling any camera footage. It's just like you're just waiting around for them to set up the room, and it sucks, man. And this guy does that shit the 2 times I worked with him. So that's a story on him, basically. And he's just kind of he's just not my kind of guy, like, personally, you know. He's like, I went to a podcast recording and I got so wasted I had to listen to it later, and I was like, oh my god, that's what happened? And he thinks that's like a fucking hilarious story and he's charming in it. And I'm like, yeah, you got drunk on a podcast, at a podcast recording, blackout. Good for you, buddy. So here's the deal. So this is like Wednesday. I go to where the shoot is. It shoots in Southie. I'd never shot any commercials in Southie, so that was cool. Nice and easy. I knew where to park and all that shit. And I get there, and he wanted to talk to me on the phone before, which was hilarious. It's a super simple commercial. Not to mention, I'm pretty much the same guy in every fucking commercial I do, which is like a jackass version of myself, and just dial up my goofiness a little bit, and there you go. Commercial time. And I know what I'm doing. Doing it a long time, but I don't give a shit. If it, you know, that's good to feel and good to know, but you can't be carrying that attitude around. But it's getting harder and harder, like, when they're like, are you excited to be doing this today? And I'm like, I guess. It's not like I'm a fucking stand-up comedian and, like, done a bunch of these and you're an asshole. But, you know, I was optimistic about this one because it was like way less of a budget and big deal than the last one we did together. So it was like way less pressure, no costume like that weighs a shitload and hurts. But there were some hiccups throughout the day. And this guy was exactly as bad as I expected him to be. Like, fucking first shot of the day, first scene of the day only takes like a couple minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes, which I'm like, holy shit, maybe this will be a fast day, because we just got it done pretty quick. But I think it was just because we were outside and he was cold. Because then the next one should have been an even easier shot. It was just me and this chick walking upstairs, and then me and this chick walking downstairs. And it was just so they could use that in editing. And that ended up being like the hardest, most difficult shot of the day, because this guy is like, keeps making lighting changes and trying to get the lighting like perfect. Like we're shooting Lawrence of Arabia when we're really just shooting this fucking pitch video that only 5 people are gonna see. So I come up after this like huge waste of time, and it keeps making me laugh because the guy keeps telling the same stories that he thinks are adorable little stories about himself that he was telling on the last shoot. So I'm like, oh, these must be his go-to aren't I adorable stories. And then I always kind of feel half bad making fun of this guy because he's kind of a witless buffoon. I don't think he realizes what an asshole he comes off as, and I don't think he realizes how loudly he speaks or how, like, dumb the things he's saying are. But so that's why I kind of feel bad making fun of him, but he's made my life miserable a couple days, so I feel like I have the right to shit on this guy. I mean, he really needs to reevaluate his life and the things he says. And he definitely cannot read a room. Like, everyone was creeped out by half of his stories or just offended. And he was, like, laughing along with himself. But I go up to smoke a cigarette, and I'm, like, looking at the production call sheet. And right at the top is the name of the production company that I fucking swore I would never, ever, ever, ever work with again. So I'm like, I gotta talk to this lady I got the email from, who I really did like. She was a cool broad. So she smokes butts like me, so we're out on her porch smoking butts. And she's like, before you say anything, I didn't know it was them. I swear what I told you was the truth. They must have outsourced it to this other production company. And I only found out this morning when I saw the paperwork too. And don't want you to like be pissed. And I was like, hey, whatever, I'm here. We've already shot 2 things. Like, it's the chicks who were like the biggest pain in the ass on that set aren't here, so whatever. I'll deal. And I'm like, but I told you I can't fucking stand this guy, and can't you see why? And she's like, yeah, I fucking can. And she's like, it's really funny because he thought the way he talks about you is like you guys are like bros, and you have this like awesome comedic like connection, and like you love working with him, and you guys love working together and all this shit. And that just like blew my skull into 60,000 pieces, which littered the wall and the ground. Because I was just like, what? This fucking guy thinks we're friends? Because Jesus, he doesn't treat me like a friend. These stupid fucking long days. So so that kind of got me, I guess, through the rest of the day. I had a Xanaxable moment like 2 hours into the shoot where I was like, I could take a Xanax right now. I'm a little stressed out. Maybe a little too much coffee or something, but I was just like, just took a deep breath, got through it, you know. And it wasn't a terrible shoot. The girl I was acting with was not really an actress. She worked for the ad agency, but she was like, you know, she was a delight. And had to do some sort of embarrassing stuff, I guess. We did a shower scene together, and I had to like wear a bathing suit and get kind of naked. But I was like, hey man, I'm a runner now. I don't give a fuck. Look at this body. Behold it. And that didn't bother me. I had to do a scene where I was brushing my teeth. That took like a half hour to shoot. So that actually ended up kind of hurting a little bit. But like I said, nothing to complain about there. And then shot a scene with my co-star and her real-life husband. We're there in bed, and I'm like in between them. And then we shot another thing. This was the last one of the day with 2 kids, 6 months old and 2 years old. And they'd put chicken nuggets in front of the little baby. And just as the kid was going to grab the nugget, I'd take it, like snatch it away and go like, ah, thanks, baby. And the baby would scream every time. We did 3 takes where the baby would scream. And that's when I started just like cheating and not taking the nugget the baby was going to reach for. Because I was just like, this feels too bad. And this guy shoots too much. He got this in take 1. We have 2 safety takes. And now he's just making me be mean to a baby. So I'm fucking not. I'm kind of a rebel on the set. Sometimes if I notice my costume's fucked up, I don't tell anyone. Because I just don't want to cause yet another delay. So the baby was like really fucking smart, I gotta say, for 6 months old, because by the 4th time the director said action, the baby just kind of shot its head right at me like, I know what you're gonna do, motherfucker. I know what's coming. It looked me dead in the eye. It was really funny. Oh, and then we did have to do another shot or 2, and like I said, he forgets things, so then they gotta reset up all the cameras, and you gotta change your costume and do this. Also, this guy can do some stupid idea that probably won't be in it at all. So that was that. It was a long day, but I got through it, and hopefully we'll never be working with him again, or the fated, terrible production company which should not be named here. But I will say, this director guy, still I'm on the fence. I don't know how I feel. I think I'm 80-20 on strongly disliking him, but there's 20% of me that's like, he's just a guy that doesn't know how to act. So Leave them alone, Will. You know, I'll tell you, man, these commercial people, they got an attitude, and they got this you're lucky to even be working with us thing that I'm kind of like over at this age and this stage of my career or whatever. Like, for example, I was supposed to do something next Wednesday where I'm just kind of it was a half a day shoot, 4 hours, and it was short money. It was $200 for 4 hours. And I was like, all right, and it was like basically extra work. And I was like, I don't really do extra work. I haven't done it in many years. I hate doing it. It's not just the money. It's like being on a set is boring enough when you're like one of the stars. It's 100 times harder when you're just in the background getting yelled at, hungry. And but I was like, $200. It shoots near me. I don't give a fuck. It's a half day, whatever. So I'm like, yes, please. So I book this gig and I say I'll do it. Then I get an email from from this production company, not the terrible one I keep talking about. And they're like, hey, looks like this commercial's gonna be a little bigger than we thought. We'd like to move it up to a full day now and pay an extra $200. So it's $400 now for a full day's work. And now, like, my whole it's half day, 4 hours in my life, $200. I can do it, you know. Like, I'm not too good for that. Now went to, like, you want to possibly spend 10, 11, 12 hours here for $400 and be an extra? And that's a no. That's a pass from the kid on that one. I don't really want to do that for a day for that kind of money. I'd rather, even writing stand-up would be a better use and more, maybe a more lucrative long-term use of my time. And I'm kind of like, after this, working with this guy twice in a month, I'm 100% over fucking video shoots right now. So I'm only doing them if they pay good money. So no, but I gave him a very business-like, hey, sorry, I got a show that night, and this doesn't work for me anymore, and, $200 for a half day isn't that bad, but $400 for a full day is way below my regular rate, and, sorry, but best of luck to you, and thanks. And the next email I get back is like, oh, how, this is unfortunate to hear. What if we told you, out of curiosity, what time do you have to be at your show? And I'm like, I have to be at my show by 5:30. Or I have to leave, I'd have to be offset by 5:30. And they're like, well, next email, what if we could possibly get you out by 5? And I'm like, well, that doesn't work. Because I've already said no twice, but I'm like, I've done this before many times where people are like, don't cancel your stand-up show, we'll get you out on time. And I think only once in 10 or once in 11 times I haven't canceled the show. Film shoots take a long time and they go late, and unpredictable things happen, and there's no fucking way, and they work goddamn slow. And there's no fucking way you can tell me within a half an hour when I'm getting out of there 5 or 6 days before you shoot. It's just, I don't believe you. Everyone's going to be mad at me trying to get me to cancel this thing. And I was like, also, not for $400, man. My rate's a lot higher than that. I was willing to do a half day shoot for $200, but don't want to do a full day for $400. That's the answer. And it was funny, they were like, well, that is unfortunate for us. Or that's unfortunate for us. Hope you have a good, week or something. Best of luck to you. Which is kind of a mild fuck you, I think. And I was like, hey, sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Someone's listening to this going like, you asshole, just go make $400. But I'm tired of this shit, man. Tired of it. Fucking listening to fucking people fucking be stupid. I like doing stand-up, so focus is always on stand-up, and I just want to be a little choosy. If they wanted to pay me to work for a full day, I'd be there in a heartbeat, but that's that. So, complaining about being an actor with Will Noonan this week on the Hypothetically podcast. I'm also pretty proud of myself because last night I had a little issue with the car that I handled with aplomb all by myself. These car battery issue. Although there is frustration even in this, but I feel like it's a heroic tale. Yesterday I had a gig up in Manchester, and full disclosure, like 3 months ago, I was getting my oil change or something. The mechanic was like, "Hey, you really should get a new battery sometime soon. Like your battery is almost dead, and it's gonna be winter, and you're gonna want a good battery." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll do that." Mental note. And then fucking forgot about it. And a couple of times my car was slow to start over the winter, but it always started. So I was like, and I guess those couple times it didn't start right up, I had like a thought for a second where I was like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to get a new battery. But then I was just, smoke weed, have a panic attack, forget about that shit, man. So anyway, lately I've noticed my battery was like 2 nights in a row I needed my buddy to jump start my car. And then so I'm like leaving my house to go run some errands and stop in on a pal's place before I go to my gig, and my car won't start. And I'm like, oh fuck, man, I gotta go to Portland, Maine tonight in this bitch. Now I'm nervous I don't have a good battery. So being the fucking taskmaster that I am, I go straight to AutoZone, and I just like kind of wing it. I'm like, this looks like a battery that fits in my car. And then I get to the register, and the guy's like, I'm like, this goes in that. My car's like parked right outside the front doors, which are right next to us. So I just like point at my car, and I'm like, this goes in there, right? Like this will fit. And the guy's like, what kind of car is it? And he just types in the computer, and he's like, what year is it? And he types that in. And then he's like, no, you need a different battery. And he takes me to the battery I actually need, which is cheaper than the one I had picked out for myself a little bit. And then I'm like, I looked at it and I saw that I was gonna need like a wrench, and I don't even have that shit. And like as he's ringing me out, I look down, there's like a wrench like on the counter, like someone planned on buying it and forgot or decided not to and just left it there. And I'm like, oh, I think that's the size wrench I need. Just eyeballing it from looking in under my hood for 10 seconds when the battery was dead. That looks like I need that too, so throw that in there. And he does. And then I get in my car and I drive like a couple blocks away to this bowling alley, because you're not allowed to work in your car in the AutoZone parking lot. Although judging by the shitloads of oil stains out there, I think people do. But I drive like this bowling alley in Boston Bowl, and I'm like, I'm gonna fix my own car battery. Never done it before, never changed a battery, but it doesn't seem too hard. I read like a paragraph on Google about how to do it. It seems pretty straightforward. So you gotta take all these nuts and bolts off to like loosen the battery and get it all like so you can take it apart and take the battery out. And I'm pretty proud of myself as I'm just getting it done really quickly, and I get all the way to the last bolt and it's not the same size. I was so fucking proud of myself for eyeballing this wrench. I almost just got killed in an accident. Eyeballing this wrench and just seeing it on the counter and getting it, and then having it actually be the right size. I was like, that's kind of a miracle. I was very proud of myself for that. And then it just fit all the nuts but this last nut, which must have just either been put on by a mechanic somewhere along the line, or who fucking knows, right? So now I'm stuck, and I can't get this fucking thing off for anything, and I don't have a multi-tool or pliers in my car or anything. So I'm like, what am I gonna fucking do? And I'm finally like, hey, I have AAA. I'll just call them. Call AAA. They're like, we'll come out, but we won't take that bolt off for you. If you want a new battery, you got to get it from us. I'm like, I can realize that this is a fight I don't have the time to fight, so I'm like, fine, that's fucking fine. I'll just take this brand new car battery that I have sitting right next to me back tomorrow and buy one off of you, but I'm on a time constraint because I have a gig tonight, so just send the guy out here. And she's like, okay, he's on his way, sir. And so then I just sit there in a parking lot like a dickhead. I hassled a couple people who came in. I'm like, yeah, man, you have any tools in your car? I could get this bolt off. And they were all nice, and one guy really looked hard, but they didn't have anything. And so I'm just waiting for AAA to come. Then I look down at my phone, and I have a text message that says they're on their way. And then, like, as I'm reading that text message, I get a phone call from AAA. And they're like, yeah, we're kind of busy right now. We have an extremely high call volume. I don't think ever in the history of me calling AAA for roadside assistance, I don't think ever in the history of me calling them have they not said they have high call volume. It's like, yeah, you're triple fucking A. People call you for help. That's what you do. Of course you have high call volume. The phone's gonna ring all day long with people who need their car fixed. That's your business. And it's also just some bullshit they say so they can take their fucking time getting to you. And I get that. And then he's like, well, we can't do any battery replacements right now, but we could come out and jumpstart your car for you. And I'm like, no, my car fucking starts right now, but what I'm afraid of is it's not going to start later because this battery's almost dead. But you know what? Like, I'll take care of it myself. Thanks, but no thanks. Bye. Fuck you, AAA. I was nice about it because I spoke with like 3 different people. They all passed the buck back and forth. So they never came. So I get back in my car, started up. That was a tense moment. I wasn't sure if it was going to start or not. It did. I had to re-screw in the battery. I had almost all the way taken out. And then I drive to my buddy Pat's house, who luckily had a pair of pliers. Got that fucking nut off. Of course, it fell right down into my car somewhere, and so then I had to find another nut in my friend's place. But I changed the fucking battery myself, man, and it was like the nick of time. Like, I'm not even shitting you. 3 minutes, like, before I was pretty much gonna be late for the gig if I didn't leave. So it was like, I made it to the gig right on time, changed the battery like just before I had to leave, and driving the car right now, and it's working great, and the battery's working great. And I didn't even realize how almost dead that fucking thing was. Like, my headlights were so dim, I didn't even fucking realize it until I got the new battery and put it in. It started to get dark. I was like, oh, I could see a lot more. Shit, my fucking car was definitely in need of a new battery, probably for a long time. So I realize editing this fucking podcast how much I say so when I'm thinking of what part of the story to go to next. Yeah, man. So that's that. So did it again. St. Patrick's Day right now, man. You can fucking feel it on the highways. People are driving drunk all over the place. It was officially St. Patrick's Day last night, but people are definitely celebrating it all weekends, all the way into Sunday when the parade in Southie happens, which I'm trying to avoid at all costs. And yeah, man, I don't mind doing St. Patrick's Day shows, but actually, drunk crowds are usually pretty. They're like 90% of the time great. Every now and then, though, you get one that's like real. It's like they get so drunk they realize the power that they have, and like that they like mutiny on you. They're like, we're there's more of us than you. Fuck you. That's like the 10%ers. That happens. But yeah, I mean, as a guy who doesn't drink and hasn't for about 7 years, I don't get too into St. Patrick's Day, but believe me, I used to way back in the day. I was all about St. Patrick's Day when I was under 21 and 21, living in New York. Very fond memory I have is filling the entire refrigerator with Natty Lights and waking up each of my roommates by just throwing a Natty Light in their bed. And we all just drank all day long. We got drunk like 3 times that day. Like, get drunk, pass out, wake up, get drunk, pass out, wake up, get drunk, pass out, wake up, go out, get drunk, come home, pass out. We did that a few years in a row. I was kind of the captain of St. Patrick's Day festivities. And then, you know, of course, I'm one of the ones who had to quit drinking. So you can see those patterns. But yeah, man, it's St. Patty's. Everyone's excited about it, except for me and the other alcoholics currently drinking and quit. Because people who are currently an alcoholic and still drink, they also hate St. Patrick's Day. Because it's like, the bar is your home, and the bar is like your safe haven, and it's your kingdom and your domain, and you kind of know the lay of the land. But St. Patrick's Day and New Year's Eve, they throw a huge fucking loop into that mix where all of a sudden there's strangers and people who don't know how to drink with the fucking class and elegance you feel like you have as an alcoholic. It's true. You'll hear that a lot from... If you hear someone going like, I fucking hate St. Patrick's Day, it's amateur hour. It's amateur hour. That usually means they consider themselves a professional drinker, which is, figure that out. I don't want to defame people who drink, but, people who drink like assholes are assholes. That's what I have to say on that. Speaking of assholes, Amy Schumer getting it this week from the internet. I don't mean she's an asshole, but she's getting punked like an asshole right now by the world. And, I'm like medium on Amy Schumer anyway. I didn't think she was the funniest comic in the world before she was famous. And most of our opinions of her was the same as like the nation's now. They were like, yeah, she's pretty funny, but all her jokes are about sex and she's kind of hacky, and like, good for her for all the cool stuff she gets, but she just was never considered like that great until like she started to get big out of New York City. And I noticed like all of a sudden it was like all the guys in New York who were a little important, had a little bit of swagger, were like going on other radio shows and going on podcasts and going on shit and just being like, oh, Amy's doing great and good for Amy, like I love Amy and Amy's so talented and no one deserves it more, and like she's just so funny and talented, and man, she's the best, and she's a fucking genius, and she works so fucking hard, and like it's so hard to not get lost in that in stand-up comedy. I think a lot of comics like to think they're above like star fucking, but it's everywhere in stand-up, man. It's like every single night you work, there's a little star fucking, like the host star fucks the headliner. It's like there's so much going on in stand-up politically, like with the job. Like when someone gets a really good gig or someone's blowing up, I've never seen people call them bad at first, and then once the sort of public turns on them, then the comics themselves kind of do too. They're like, yeah, I always thought she was kind of a hack. It's like, did you? Or were you on like a million radio shows saying like she's your best friend and you're so happy for her? And I think there's truth. I think people are telling the truth when they say that stuff, and everyone likes to see someone who like works hard get their due, but she has been cutting a fucking lot of corners since like, she made it, so to speak, and she's been busted a bunch of times, like kind of stealing jokes from people or premises, or just not checking whether or not her shit has been done before. She's been caught on that a lot. And not to mention, you gotta deliver. One thing I'll say about Kevin Hart, he's definitely made a couple bad movies, but he's consistently making a good one. Every other one's pretty good. and he's consistently putting out really funny stand-up specials, and people are gonna fucking continue to love you and continue to support you and not turn on you when you're doing that. But I think Schumer's problem has been she's been putting out a mediocre product, and after you start doing that a few times with your TV show and with your stand-up specials, people are gonna start kind of going, maybe she's not as great as I thought. Maybe those things people said about her back in the beginning of this were telling the truth, or maybe she does steal. And now there's like this huge internet backlash against her. The same sort of people, I bet, tons of the same people who were all about Amy Schumer when she broke out, kind of turning on her now. And I don't know. I don't like to see anyone get like lambasted. Is that how it's lambasted or lambasted? I don't like to see any basting or basting like in the great scale. But apparently her fucking Netflix special is getting like 1 star, and she's saying it's because of trolls brigading it and trying to do that. But I've heard from a lot of former Schumer fans that it really is a 1-star special, and like it's just not that good, and it's hacky and it's shitty. And there's jokes in there from Dave Attell specials, and I kind of think it's insane if you're not if you're a comic and you don't almost have Skanks for the Memories by Dave Attell memorized. I kind of question your dedication to this art form of comedy. It's got to be the greatest album, stand-up album that's ever been put out. At least the best album of like the, since like the 90s or whatever. It's so fucking good, and I don't know many comics who don't know that album inside and out. And she was doing jokes from that album. People were just like appalled, I don't think I've talked about this a bunch of times on the podcast. I don't think she's like out there fucking stealing jokes, watching and stealing, but she's one of those comics, and there's a lot of comics like this. They just don't, they're so confident in their own fucking mind and their own thoughts that they think they thought of everything, they think every bit is their new original thought. They don't kind of question whether or not someone did this before, so that's like a big thing. You got to kind of realize you can't buy your own hype so much that you're like, oh man, I just reinvented the wheel and I just fucking made this joke like 100 times. Like that seems so easy and so came to me so quick, and it seems so obvious. I bet no one's done this before. It's like, go just check. It's never been easier to just check. Ask your followers, ask your fucking friends, ask those millions of New York guys who claim to be your best friend, and they'll all tell you that Dave Attell did that joke, But I think there's this big fear in stand-up where people don't want to punch up when it comes to within the industry. People don't. There's still a big fear of, well, that person's got power and I don't, so I'm just gonna say nice things about them instead of honest things or bad things. And I guess I just don't care because I'm here in Boston. I'm not really part of the industry anyway, so why can't I just be honest that Amy Schumer's been fucking up and she should get back to the Notebook and stop making shitty movies with Goldie Hawn that no one wants to see. And that's probably more the reason why people are giving her special bad ratings. Not because they just don't like you, I like you. I always thought you were really cool when I saw you at Foxwoods, and you fucking bitched out those bookers. You weren't famous yet, but you knew what you wanted. You knew how to handle yourself. No way Schumer would do a half day for fucking, or full day for $400. No fucking way. Even fucking 2007. Amy Schumer wouldn't do that. Sometimes it's okay to say a no-ski. I'm very proud of myself for not drinking this entire iced coffee. I've been trying to like get the iced coffee and like not drink it. I gotta time it just right so it hits me, so the coffee hits me like as I'm going on stage or right before. Sometimes I've mistime it and the coffee buzz is wearing off before I go on stage, and I'm like, what the fuck? I need this. The things I used to worry about compared to the things I worry about now. I think about that all the time. I used to worry about like shitting my pants because I was so hungover, or worrying about vomiting on stage, or worrying about getting too drunk to find my way home, or worrying about saying awful things in blackouts that I couldn't take back. And now I just worry about timing my coffee drinking right. It's so not as bad. We're almost there, but I'm gonna keep talking. Artie Lange had a slip in his sobriety. I was bummed to hear that, but not surprised. Sadly, I listened to his podcast, and I follow him on Twitter, and he's been just kind of obviously a little fucked up lately, I'd say. Tweeting like a guy on cocaine, and podcasting like a guy on heroin. And he was arrested with both of those things on Friday night, or Thursday night, but made it out, did his shows Friday. But I'm definitely worried about him. I've always looked up to Artie Lange as like a huge comedic force who I just think is fucking hilarious. But I also look up to, when I was getting sober, I was like, hey, this guy, you know, he's had his troubles, but he's put himself through so much, and he's still out there doing comedy. He's still funny. He's still living. And like I've used Artie as that, you know, a million times. If I'm freaking out about smoking too many cigarettes, or, you know, just being weird on the road, I'm like, sometimes I go, hey, there's Artie Lange survived what he survived. You can survive this. Don't beat yourself up over every cigarette, man. Artie Lange shoots heroin into his eyeballs and eats a pack of fucking cigarettes, man. So I use him as this like sobriety totem sometimes. But, you know, I definitely want him to live to be an old man, and I want to hopefully work with him someday, or at least be on the radio with him someday. And just want the best for Artie Lange. So if you got a moment, send him a fucking tweet. Artie Quitter. Just be like, Artie, I fucking love you. Hope you're doing good. Because believe it or not, people sometimes need to hear that. And sometimes, you know, I've had tough times. Sometimes it's like, you guys even know I've never even said anything, or tweeted or any weird shit, or said any weird shit, but I'll just get a tweet from one of you guys that's real sweet and nice, and I'm like, it's almost like they knew I was just bummed and I needed a little pick-me-up today. You know, just a little pick-me-up. That voice sucked and will never be done again. What was the other things I had written down here? Kind of a mellow podcast this week, voice-wise. Oh, Paige from the WWE. Holy moly. Holy moly moly. Paige put out a sex tape. Anyone who knows me knows I love leaked celebrity nudes. I get it. It sucks for the people. It's a disgrace. It's definitely embarrassing for them, and I'm sure it's miserable to have your nude photos leaked. Having said that, I think we got to enjoy the sweet things in life, and we got to fucking be happy when we get a break in this world. And when you're watching the news and it's all about terrorism and how the world's going to shit, a naked famous person by surprise is a good fucking thing for everybody but the famous person. But hey, they'll get over it, and sometimes it's good for your career. So I know a lot of people get on me for loving these celebrity leaks when they happen, but even the dude ones, I can't get enough. I'm a nosy prick, and I want to see what the private lives of famous people are like. And I love seeing what kind of freaky shit people do in the bedroom. Who doesn't, right? We're human. So, Paige fucking delivered like no one ever has. Because I started looking at them, and I'm like, oh man, first of all, she's dope. And these are good nudes. You know, sometimes you see some nudes and you're like, oh my God, I thought that person would be so attractive, and they're just not. Holy fucking shit. You know, it's just something weird about them, or some kind of, you know, bad boobs, bad dick or something. You just don't know. But This guy fucking pulling in behind me because that's what I'm doing. This guy who, so anyway, Paige delivered so well because it wasn't just her getting, it wasn't just her naked in front of the mirror or anything like that. It's her fucking a dude, but it's not just any dude. It's Brad Maddox, who's a fucking professional wrestler who... So that's like a double gift of nude celebritydom. And then and by the way, I love that famous person. Brad Maddox. I got a Celeb VM, which is a company I also work for. I got a Celeb VM. You can get one from me, celebvm.com/Will Noonan. But I got one for my friend Pat for his birthday. And Brad Maddox just fucking hit a home run. He just did an awesome one. And it was so good, but it wasn't as good as his video of fucking Paige, I'll tell you that. But then, as if it could end there, the next video is Xavier Woods, another wrestler I love. They're having a threesome. Brad Maddox, Paige, and Xavier Woods. A triple fucking header of celebrity nude leaks. So, I don't even masturbate to this shit. I just devour it in a chair and go like, oh my God. And then, I haven't been looking at him a lot since. I think I looked at him twice last night. Once alone, once with a friend. And, they're burned in my memory. I never need to see him again. But did not jerk off to him. But maybe one day I will. One day down the road, might just type in Paige nude and get down with myself a little bit. Just get down with my own dick, just fucking pulling on my pud. Getting the gummy bear out of the slippery log. Getting the old gummy bear down the icy tequila shot luge of my dick. All right, that was a totally weird and bizarre way to end the podcast, but I'm fucking here. I'm in Manchester. I'm at my fucking show, Manch Vegas. So, thank you guys for driving with me all the way from South Boston to Manchester, New Hampshire today. And more podcasts to come. Please support me, guys. I need some fucking money from you, man. I'm not doing half-day commercials. I need the dough. Go to willnoonan.com. You can click the donate button there. There's a PayPal set up for willnoonanComedy@gmail.com. You can also email me at willnoonancomedy@gmail.com. T-shirts, prowrestlingtees.com/willnoonan. Got the hypothetically T-shirt there. If you like this podcast, show it. Show to people on the streets that you like it. And if not, just tell. If you can't afford any of that shit, you can't afford my album, CDs, anything. You can't spend your money. I get it. Just tell someone about me. Tell your friends about Hypothetically. We've been getting so many more ratings, man. We're on YouTube now, iHeartRadio, and all the fucking other places we were before. So, a whole bunch of people coming in. Shout out to the Kumia fans. I fucking love you guys. Hope I'll see some of you at this show. And everybody, remember, if no one told you they love you today, I do. Peace out. Test, 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 testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Test, 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 testing, 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 1, 2, 3. Testing, test, 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 test. This is me talking. This is me talking. Oh no. My iced coffee straw is all fucked up. Have to drink it strawless. Gotta have have another one in here. Yeah. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, la 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 la. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, and 1.